You've worked hard to build a dream retirement. Now it's time to put that plan into action. This is Retire ATL with Aaron Vincent and Matt Decker. The team at Vincent Financial wants to help you build, protect, and grow income to get you to and through retirement. Now, Retire ATL with Aaron Vincent and Matt Decker.
This is the Retire ATL podcast, all powered by the Vincent Financial Group. You can get more when you visit retireatlradio.com. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Now, let's get to the show.
My name is Mark Owens. All right, gentlemen, let's talk about it. We're into it, 2026. We want to make this the best year ever. 2025, that's behind us. Mistakes, challenges, the highs and the lows, doesn't matter anymore. Now we're into 2026. And I think one of the big things that we always love to do is make those New Year's resolutions. And studies show that most of those resolutions are broken by the third week in January.
Mine are already broken.
Yes, that's what my goal, my resolution was to lose weight, he said, for the 25th year in a row, and it still hasn't happened yet. So
I feel like we had this conversation last year, actually.
Guess what? I didn't lose any weight. So that's why, and you've said it before, the importance of setting goals, not resolutions. Why is that?
Well, I think it goes back to the why. Usually we make resolutions because we've recognized where we fell short in 2025. And so I'm now going to be resolute this year. And all the things I didn't do well last year, I'm going to do them well this year. And by definition, I think like psychologically proven, that idea is just a flawed one because you are bringing with you all the same kind of habits and the same routines and the same everything. You haven't done anything to change those yet, but you're just I'm putting my foot down now. I'm doing it different.
Right.
I don't have a plan, but I'm going to do it different. And to me, that's what a resolution is. But a goal is more like, okay, there's this thing that I want, and it's a little bit out there. And so I'm going to set that goal, and I'm going to work backwards from that and figure out what I need to do. Okay, so if it's an end of the year goal, for example, then I need to have some check-in points. So after Q1, what's a good pace I should be on? Into the summertime, where do I want to be? If I'm here, if I'm at X, by summertime, I'm on pace to reach that end of year goal. And then you kind of check in, in the fall, quarter four, am I going to get this goal? And so that's more measurable. It's more visible. It's achievable. You can feel it. You can see the progress. So to me, that's not a Webster's dictionary definition of goal versus resolution. But to me, that's the fundamental difference. I mean, very, very, very few times do I talk to anybody who has resolutions and those go well.
Yeah.
But more often than not, if I meet a goal-oriented person, they've got a way of thinking, maybe an organizational strategy behind them that makes that goal happen. And so we talk in those terms because this is maybe the perfect example is financial, right? So maybe your end-of-year goal is, I want to save $50,000, this year. 2026 is the year. I want to put aside $50,000. Fine, that's just a random example for whatever reason. Well, you can measure that each month and you can see, am I off track? Am I on track? What must I do to get there? And how am I going to do that? What am I going to sacrifice to do that? That's different from the resolutions like, no, I'm going to save it. And here we go.
Yeah.
And just move on.
I also feel like resolutions a lot of times are, it's like a pass-fail type grading system. Either you stuck to the resolution or you didn't. But it's not really, oftentimes, it feels like resolutions aren't outcome based. It's like, am I doing the thing? And so a good one would be like, this year, my resolution is I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Well, the second that you miss that gym day, it's kind of like it weighs on you, right? It's like it's weighing on your conscience. Like I just broke that resolution. Whereas a goal, you can set that goal, and in a lot of cases, you can fall short of your goal and still exceed kind of the person that you are today, right? Like you can make progress towards a goal, miss your goal, and still end up better on the other side of things. With a resolution, I'm going to go to the gym this year, and then you start missing days and not going, and now you're discouraged, and then you put the resolution in the trash can, and then you're actually not a better person on the other side of that resolution. You're a worse person because you just said you were going to do something and you lied to yourself. You broke trust with yourself. You proved that you can't do it, actually. And so that's a mindset shift. It's not so much, I think you could easily have the exact same goal versus resolution, but how you think about that thing is really the important part in my mind.
Very few resolutions that I hear are measurable.
Right.
Right.
Well, because
So-
they're almost like a wish list.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
hey, my resolution is to lose weight. All right, well, then set the goal of losing 10 pounds.
Right. Right. And talk about or think about how you're going to do that.
What kind of person do I have to be?
Right.
If the goal is I want to be at this kind of body weight or I want to have this much money, it's like, okay, well, think of somebody in your mind that is that, and who are they? What do they have to do to make that happen? And then you become that person.
Yeah.
Well, if I want to be 5% body fat so that I can encroach upon Aaron's 2.5% body fat, what kind of person am I going to have to be? I'm going to have to live in the gym and eat clean.
Right.
And if I can't say yes to that, then I have the wrong goal because I don't actually want it bad enough.
Right.
Yeah, and it translates to whether it's retirement planning or if you're not quite on the doorstep of retirement, it's just sort of investment management. It's like, I don't know anyone, or I rarely talk to these people who are like, no, I mean, I'm everything I want. I'm there. I don't have any shortcomings. I'm 100% confident that I'm going to be able to retire when I want to and how I want to, and I don't have any really threats to that, and I don't have any questions. And, really, it's all bulletproof. I've not met that person yet. And so the question really is like, what are those thresholds? What are those things? And let's back into how you're going to get there.
RetireATLradio.com to begin this conversation with Aaron Vincent, Matthew Decker, and the team at the Vincent Financial Group, home office in Woodstock, Georgia, but they can meet you all over Metro Atlanta, even via Zoom or that introductory phone call as well. Again, RetireATLradio.com. And speaking of goals and resolutions, this time last year, somebody had set the goal of getting that second opinion. They've been working with the big box firm forever. Maybe they feel like their needs aren't being met, or they feel like opportunities are missed, or maybe they're just tired of calling an 800 number to talk to somebody who may be different from somebody last week about their money. So, Aaron Vincent, what would you say to somebody who has the goal in 2026 to get that second opinion?
Yeah, I love it. It might even be one step prior to that. Maybe that in your mind, you'd say, gosh, I just would like to be rid of this like anxious, unknown kind of sinking. Is there something I'm missing? What a great goal that is. Hey, this year in 2026, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get some surety, to get some unknowns cleared up, to kind of follow my gut and to get rid of this like anxious, where am I feeling? What a great goal that is. It doesn't have to be like a specific dollar amount or some big, lofty, giant kind of sweeping number. It can just be, I want to change this kind of mental kind of fear I have of my money or my retirement. And so, Mark, what I would say to that person who thought about it or wanted to last year but didn't is why? Why didn't you? Let's get real here. Like whether you're in your car driving or you're at your office, however you're listening to this, take a second or write this down or make a mental note. Why didn't you execute on that thought? That thought that you had, that feeling that you had about getting a second opinion, you didn't follow up with that. What's the reason? Now, everyone's got a different reason. A lot of times we find people are intimidated by, I don't want to be transparent. I feel like if I admit where I'm at, I'm admitting failure or something along those lines. And let me just make the bridge to you right now. We don't care how, I shouldn't say we don't care. We aren't too worried about, we aren't going to judge you if you wish you were at X, but you're only at Y or whatever. Like there's no judgment. There's no shame in saying, I'm not where I want to be and I want to get there. That should be applauded. If anything, you're going to get applause from us because it's like the human condition, right? Life on earth, to raise your hand and say, I need some help. I'd like to get this thing shored up and I'm willing to tell you the truth about where I'm at to get there. That takes courage. It takes some guts. I respect that regardless of where you are. To be that kind of person, Matt, to what you're saying is like, you have to become a certain kind of person. That person, I would even go as far as to say that person deserves more respect than the person who's got $2 million in their portfolio, just for, I don't want to pit those two things against each other, but you know what I'm saying? To say I'm willing to open myself up to that sort of conversation, I think that should be applauded.
Look, that's difficult to do. I won't even ask for help in Home Depot. I'm walking down the aisles and I have no clue what I need. I don't know where it's located.
To avoid all that, I just do it online.
I've even got the app up and it tells me which aisle and bay it's in and I still can't find it. I'm standing in front of the aisle in the bay and someone comes along and says, do you need help with something?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Hey, I'm just browsing actually. I'm not here for any particular reason. I'm good. I totally get it, right? It's intimidating to ask for help or you just don't want someone to know that you need help. That's how I am. I just don't want someone to know that I actually might need
what is
some
it
help
about that?
here.
At night, so sometimes we'll watch a show before we go to bed, right? And so inevitably, I'm dozing off while the show's right in the middle of it. And whether it's like our kids are in there with us, or it's just me and Jessica or whatever, and someone's like, "Hey, are you asleep?" No, I'm fine. I'm great.
It's rusting my eyes.
Why do we do that?
I don't know.
Why do I not want to admit that I fell asleep at 10 o'clock at night in my bed?
You're such a loser. How could you?
Why do I not want to admit I need help finding this tool at Home Depot? I don't know what it is. Maybe I just lack the courage. But the truth is, just get on your phone, get on your iPad, get on your computer, retireatlradio.com. I can almost guarantee you. I can go all the way up to a guarantee without the guarantee. I can assure you.
No E's.
It's a guarant with one E at the end. I can assure you that it's going to be simpler and more enjoyable than you probably think.
I also think, too, there is something about, there's that thing that we all experience but can't quite put a finger on why people would delay or why we delay or not ask for help in our own lives. I also think that inertia is real. And we say all the time, our number one competitor in this space, we're in the financial services industry. Some people ask, who's your biggest competitor? Because I think the follow-up question then becomes, well, how are you different from your number one biggest competitor? And we've kind of cheated the system on that. We've totally cheated the question because the answer, and it's the real answer to who's your biggest competitor is doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Doing nothing. Yeah.
That's the biggest competitor that we face. You come in, you go through our process, we get to the end of it, we've had a great discussion. There's lots of improvements we can make and tweaks that we've found that will get you closer to where you want to be. And the number one competitor we face is inertia, doing nothing, status quo. And I get that too. Because again, I'm the same way. If I've been doing something forever, to ask me to change what I'm doing, even if I see how this is better in every single way. There's like a part of me that has to die to say like, okay, yes, this is better. And the way that I've been doing it, I wish I would have been doing it, all along. But there's a little part of you that has to kind of, I don't know, is it like eat a little humble pie, just like a little nibble of humble pie and be like, oh, it can be better. I struggle with that. And then some people are the exact opposite. They're like, I wish I would have met you 20 years ago. Thank you so much. Yes, 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 yes. How fast can we do this? But I'll tell you, if I'm sitting in someone's office, I'm like, yes, it does look better in all the ways. Let me think about it. Like that's where I would fall.
I think to me, not that this comes natural to me, but one of the things I try to do or I'm trying to do better of is we kind of become prisoner of the moment. We all do. It's just how I feel right now or what's going on. I'm too busy. It's the busiest time of year. It's always the busiest time of year for me. Like that excuse never leaves. But what is helpful to do is say, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's fast forward 5 years. Let's fast forward 10 years. There's this sort of like cliche of like, do something today that your future self will thank you for or something like that. Well, okay, that sounds nice. But what we have to do in that exercise is to say, what is it that's going to move me off my position of apathy or whatever you would call it? And often, whether we've talked about physical, like working out, getting healthy, or losing weight, or we're talking about money, or maybe it's some kind of other goal, but often the thing that finally moves you off your position of just inertia is pain.
Yep. I knew you were going to say that.
I didn't feel the urgency that I wish I would have felt until this thing happened.
It's sad.
And it fell apart. And now I wish I would have done that. And man, I'm just thinking like, how many of us could tell stories? It's rhetorical. The answer is all of us.
Yep.
Could tell stories of, I had a gut feeling. I knew I should have done something. I even wrote down the phone number. I even wrote down the website and I was about to do it and then I didn't. And now I'm here. Now I'm experiencing this pain, whatever it is, if we want to use an extreme example as it relates to retirement. I was going to call that service in 2007 when I felt like I should have, and I didn't do anything. And then the next year I lost 40% of my 401k. Can we please get past telling those stories? Because many people listening right now have that feeling. They've got that gut feeling. Maybe you don't know the exact question to ask. Maybe you don't know exactly the diagnosis, but you got that feeling like, I need to reach out. I need to do something. Let's have that discussion.
Yeah.
RetireATLradio.com.
So if you are ready to say goodbye to your current advisor, if you're ready to get that second opinion service, that initial consultation from the team at the Vincent Financial Group, it's no cost, it's no obligation. RetireATLradio.com. From the homepage, you can book that appointment. You can meet the team, put faces to the voices that you hear every weekend. We also invite you to check out the Retire ATL podcast, this weekend show, plus a full archive, all commercial free. Again, RetireATLradio.com, talking about how to make 2026 your best year ever. And I think it may be, for some people, time to embrace the boring. And maybe it's time to realize that boring is better. Craziness of all the stocks, the headlines, the trends, it can be overwhelming. And sometimes, Aaron, boring is not bad.
No, as a matter of fact, I would say the opposite. If you have done enough saving, investing, planning up to this point to where you can afford to be boring, I will explain that in a second, or I'll define that, then you are so far ahead of the game. So one of the dangers that a lot of investors or pre-retirees or retirees get into is, you begin to compare how things have gone the last 10 years. And you begin to kind of project that in the next 10. And that's one of the biggest dangers, because the amount of risk that you have been taking, let's use an example here. Let's say that, you're still working, you're still employed, you've got a 401k, your employer matches it. You are in pure growth mode. I don't care if you're 45 or 55. If that's you, you're in pure growth mode. And you've been looking at your investments in your portfolio through a certain lens for 20 years or longer. And that's a growth, saving, adding, building, accumulating role. That gear has to be changed. You must shift to a different lens to look through when you begin to get close to that next step. Hey, I can see the possibility of retirement. Is it 3 years or 5 years out? It's not really that relevant, but I've done the majority of my saving. You can put it that way. Once that threshold has happened, we've got to change kind of the landscape, or change how you've been viewing this thing. And so I think that's a difficult change to make, though, because anything that we've been doing for 20 plus years, to your point earlier, Matt, about habits and just sort of our tendencies, it's tough to break that, but we have to. And so my point is this: if you've saved enough in your portfolio where a boring 5% return can produce for you the income after taxes, after fees, take home, to live the lifestyle that you want, how much smoother and more comfortable and more potentially enjoyable is that reality for you than I need to get an 8% or a 10% annual rate of return in order to live the lifestyle that I want? Not boring. You can say it's pretty exciting, and you can say it's also heartbreaking. And is it exciting or heartbreaking? Well, it depends on when you open up your phone in the morning and look at the stock app. Is it going to be a heartbreaking day or an exciting day? Most folks I talk to do not want that reality in their retirement. And so boring is often better. Now, let's address the fear of missing out, the FOMO. That's another reason why boring doesn't sound so good sometimes, because, well, what if? I don't know that I want to, get into a slow and steady wins the race portfolio when you got NVIDIA just crushing it or whatever. And so this is where planning comes in. This is where our conversation comes in. We got to learn who you are first. How comfortable are you with risk? But what if we did this? What if we said that your retirement income, maybe you want $150,000 a year. It helps to have numbers attached to this. So I just want to give an example. Maybe for you to retire, you need $150,000 a year take home after taxes, after fees. That's your take home dollars to live the life that you want. Okay, great. Maybe $100,000 of that is your need, your budget. That's what you need, each year to just cover the basics and to do the things you want to do. The other 50 is fun. It's home remodels. It's vacations. It's a new car every so often. Well, let's get that first $100,000 in this example and get that boring and get that secured and get that rolling so there's no roller coaster. And with the other 50, if you want to take some chances and roll some dice and have some really good years and some tougher years sometimes, great. Everyone lands in a different place on that spectrum, what you're comfortable with and how much you want to kind of be boring or be exciting. And it's not us to tell you what you should do. That's your personality, it's your preference, and it's your money. It's on us to build that portfolio for you and then tighten those screws often as we go.
What's cool about what you're saying, Aaron, and maybe it's hard to see, but we've talked about fear, we've talked about FOMO, and we've talked about boring and how boring is a blessing. And how it's not our job to tell you if you should be invested riskier or less risky. Like, that's not our job. but it is our job to point out where the pain is so that you can accurately assess the decisions that you have to make. And I think a lot of people get lulled into a false sense of security. You set the stage, Aaron, saying, you've done the bulk of your savings. We go through this process and you can already accomplish your hopes and your dreams, and all your goals are taken care of. And you might be thinking, I don't have, there's no pain on the horizon for me because I can already do the things that I want to do. And I would submit to you that you're actually unplanned for. You're actually in a position of potential maximum pain. Because if you have already done enough, 2008, everybody experienced pain. But if you were 15 years away from retirement, that's a different kind of pain. It's a totally different kind of pain. It's a pain in terms of my balance is lower, but it's not a pain that's tied to a timeline. If you are within the retirement window and you've already done enough, and you're still dealing with things like FOMO, or you're still thinking I don't want a boring portfolio, I'm here to tell you, and Aaron would echo these sentiments, you're actually set up for a maximum pain scenario, because right now you could already do everything you want to do. And the only thing that could get in your way would be some kind of big catastrophic market correction that you could actually take care of now. You could plan for now, knowing that you've already done enough. If you haven't done enough, you might not have that luxury. And that's why boring is a blessing. It's not something to, shake a stick at and be like, no, that's not for me. That's for someone who's on a fixed income who doesn't have much. Since I have a lot, I get to do the sexy stuff. And I'm just here to tell you, I've seen more people get hurt when they have enough and they go after the sexy stuff because it goes wrong, and then they don't have enough.
Yeah, you can until you don't.
Exactly. And that is, man, you talk about pain. That's a place of pain right there.
RetireATLradio.com.
Insurance products are offered through the Insurance Business Advanced Planning Group. Vincent Financial Group is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Advanced Planning Group are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Advanced Planning Group and IPW are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be constructed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Vincent Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained by sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Vincent Financial Group. This podcast is a paid placement.